Hello and welcome to this session of product design and value engineering. In our previous sessions, we have discussed design for manufacturing and design for assembly. To continue with this discussion of design for excellence, also known as DFX, in this session we will discuss design for production and design for maintainability. Now, what is design for production? To understand this concept, we must first understand what is production. So when we talk about the production, we not only talk about manufacturing, which is a general concept that manufacturing and production are interchangeable terms, but they are not. Manufacturing only focuses on the machining processes or the part in which we talk about converting raw materials into desired finished products. The production is a broader term which also incorporates ideas that are related to manufacturing that moves or revolves around manufacturing. So production is a broader term while manufacturing is a sub-part of production itself. Apart from manufacturing, production also thinks about not just converting raw material into finished goods, but how to convert those raw materials into finished goods, which machines will be required, how much facilities will be required, what will be the capabilities and capacities that will be required, and what will be the economic effect or economic considerations behind it. All this will be considered while we discuss production. So let us discuss what do we mean by design for production. In normal design process, in normal manufacturing scenario, what we will do is we will take a product design and we will evaluate our manufacturing capabilities and capacities. And we will give all this input to a manufacturing system and we will evaluate our manufacturing system. If our manufacturing system, if our production system is capable enough to produce the design, and does our manufacturing system has enough capacity to produce the desired volume. So capacity is ability to produce the desired volume, while capability is ability to produce the desired functionality or desired specifications. For example, if I say I have a lathe, that means I can perform turning and taper turning operations. But when I say that I have lathe and I can perform turning and taper turning operations, does not mean that I can perform every operation which requires taper turning or turning. Because some taper turning or turning operations may require a very high level of surface finish. Some operations may require surface finish in the level of 0.1 micron also. Now, every lathe is not capable of producing this level of surface finish. Although the operation which is turning is same, does not mean that each equipment which performs an operation that is turning will be capable to produce the desired specification. So when we talk about design and to how to produce it, we also must consider our capabilities also. Having equipments is not enough, having the right equipments is the key here. So that is all about capabilities, but we also have to consider capacities. For example, if I have a design and I am hoping that this is a very good design, an innovative idea, and which have a very high market demand. So I will be hoping a very high demand of say 1000 orders per week. Now, do I have enough resources? Do I have a large enough capacity? Do I have a large enough production system which can produce 1000 parts in a week? That is the capacity of the production system. How much volume you can produce in a given time. So while you discuss the production system in your design, you have to evaluate all these criteria. Does your production system is capable enough? Does your production system is uh, does your production system have enough capacity? Now, after evaluating this, what we will do is, if the criteria matches, then alright, we can go for production. But if it does not match, what happens if the criteria does not match? If I do not have enough capacity, if I do not have enough capacity, and I am sure that I can make profit from this product, then what will I do is I will expand my capacity. I will expand my production system such that I will have adequate capacity. That is the one option. The another option is to outsource the production. What I will do is I will just sell the product. I will convince other manufacturer to produce this product for me, which will have enough capacity. These two options will be there, and we have to consider some economic criteria to choose the better option for us. If we do not have enough capabilities, then what will we do? Again, the first option for us is, if we can purchase new equipments to have their capabilities. That is the first option. Now, if we are sure that our product will be high demand for a long time, then we can surely purchase the equipments to develop that capabilities. But we also need to re-evaluate our design. Does this feature, does this function really required? Does this high amount of surface finish is really required? Can I make some changes in design such that I can have same amount of functionality and I can reduce the technological requirements on the production side, on the equipment side? So all this we have to consider, and we will decide either we need to change our design, or we need to expand or change our capabilities, or we need to build some new capabilities. All we have to consider while we design, because ultimately what we are designing, we also have to produce that, and to produce that, to make that production manufacturing happen, will need to have enough resources with us. So basically, this design for production is considering the resource requirement that we need to produce the desired design, to produce the product with given or expected production volume. All these two things should be kept in mind. The first is, we need to produce the product with given specification, with given functionalities, and second is, we need to produce the product with given or required or expected volume. So this is all about design for production. The another important question is design for maintainability. Now, how to design your product keeping maintenance in mind? So there are some common guidelines for, or common principles of maintainability. There will be many more such principles which you will be able to find in some standard reference books or some online resources, some discussion forums. You can explore them by yourself, but we are discussing here the basic philosophies behind it. The first one is principle of maintainability. The first principle is of standardization. What do we mean by standardization? Suppose you are manufacturing a car. In a car, there will be a large amount of components. There will be hundreds or thousands of parts. Consider the fasteners you are using in your car. Fastener is a very small part. It will hardly cost 2 or 3 rupees. Okay. Now, suppose you need to use 300 different fasteners in your car at different places, and you are designing each and every fastener for the required specification only. So you are optimizing your each and every fastener. Now what will happen is you are producing 300 different types of fasteners which are custom made for your design only. So if one of those fastener fails, uh, again fastener is a very small parts, hardly worth 2 or 3 rupees. So if one of that fastener fails, then what you have to do is you have to take that fastener, you have to again you have to collect the design of your fastener from your database, and you have to manufacture that particular one single fastener, and then you need to again fix that fastener. So for fixing that fastener, that single failed fastener, you need to manufacture it first, then only you can fix your product, and it will take very long time. Instead of that, what you can do is you can use standard fastener size that are available, and you can simply use those fasteners. It will not be optimized for your design, that is true, but if your product fails, if the fasteners, one of the fastener fails, you can simply go to a vendor, a nearby vendor, and you can purchase their fastener. Now this is for you only. Imagine that you are selling this car to different 10,000 people, and they will be having the similar problem. So standardization helps to improve your availability of the parts, and it will reduce the time to repair the part. So it will ultimately increase your maintainability. The another principle is functional packaging. It is not directly related to maintainability, but it is an important parameters while considering. Your package should be such that it should be used in some of the way. For example, here we can see that the packaging of McDonald's, it is simply packaging, but it can be also used as a cup holder, it can be also used as a plate while you eat. So this is what do we mean by functional packaging. Another principle is modularization. What do you mean by modularization is that you do not make your product in a single assembly, but you divide your product in different modules, different sub assemblies, and each of that sub assemblies, each of that different product will act as a standalone, and it will help in interchangeability of parts, it will help in the design as well as in low cost of the part. Suppose you are working with a camera, then modularization of camera is you make a single camera which can be attached with different types of lenses. So you do not need to manufacture different cameras for different types of applications. You build civil camera and you just change your lenses, which are modules, different modules which can be used for different applications. Another principle is interchangeability. Interchangeability is somewhat similar to modularization. Here also you make your product in different modules, but in modularization we are only talking about one product with different assemblies. In interchangeability we are talking about multiple products which uses same modules. For example, if you are building a car and your company is a transportation or vehicle manufacturing company, so you can build a car that uses the same base, but you can fit different types of bodies on it, such that you can use the same base for a sedan also, you can use the same base for an SUV also, you can use the same base for passenger vehicle also. So this is what do we mean by interchangeability. Now how this will help in maintainability? Suppose you have 500 different types of these products. If one of them fails and you need a van at a time, so what you can do is you can simply put aside your sedan body and you can attach your van body on it, for public transportation and you can use it. So this will reduce the time to repair. Another important principle is accessibility. We also have discussed this during our assembly process. Your parts will be such that it is accessible and it is such that you can access it easily. So when you are thinking about manufacturing a product, you need to think that at some point I might have to repair it. So I will have to give some type of access to repair it. For example, if you are building a boiler or a large heat exchanger, then you need to think about giving a manhole so that it can be used at a later stage for maintenance purposes. Also, when we think about maintainability, we need to know when to maintain our parts. So malfunction annunciation, which means announcement of malfunction, is also a important aspect of maintainability. Basically, what we are doing is we are designing our product in such a way that when the product fails, the product itself will tell us that there is a failure and there is a failure at particular point and we need to check it. The common example of it will be some devices which gives you some indication of failure. For example, in your car's dashboard, there will be some signals, some lights which will give you indication about the condition of some components. If there is a malfunction or if there is a problem, those lights, those indications will tell you that there is a problem and it need to be attended very rapidly, otherwise it will convert in a bigger problem. And also, fault isolation is also important. When you detect a problem, when you know that there is a problem, then the second step should be to make sure that problem does not spread. It should be isolated at its place only. If it spreads, then it will result in a very big problem. It will be catastrophic maybe. For example, if you are using a fire detection system, then the job of fire detection system is to detect if there is a fire or not. Once the fire is detected, we need to isolate that fire. So how can we isolate or we can reduce the spreading of fire? By using some type of sprinkler, etc. So this will make sure that your fault is isolated in a particular space. So this is what we mean by fault isolation. Now identification. Again, how to identify the problem. So this is an example of identification. For differential tag, this is a basically coding system which identifies each and every different parts, because in car body there will be multiple number of parts, and a layman or a simple worker which is not familiar with the parts, all the different parts, cannot identify what exactly the part is. So you need to give part number or some type of code on your every part, such that you will be easily able to identify which part has failed and which new part need to be replaced. So these are the common principles of maintainability, and this will be all for this session. Thank you.